Yes. Good morning, everyone, and it is pleasure to have you guys here. This is to welcome you to this. I call it a collaboration effort between MCAP and Aspire Hub. And you can see me wearing Aspire Hub shirt because I'm part of the organization as well. So I wear two caps here. I'm part of MCAP and I'm also part of Aspire Hub. And when this idea of this program came up, I realized that this is better done with Aspire Hub because Aspire Hub, the program is actually targeted towards the demography that Aspire Hub caters for. So, and I'm happy that you guys are here today. Our speaker is ready, loaded, and I'm going to bring her straight to the studio now and so that she can go ahead with the event today. And I can tell you, we decided to have this in on YouTube as against having it typically in Zoom, so that you can go back and listen to this or share with your friend or people that you think will benefit from the content we're going to share today. You know, as a parent myself, I have children at different level of education. I have a child in junior, in middle school, and also in high school, and navigating different kind of challenges. And I noticed that, and so that I can support the children, I noticed that the problem basically was more of my knowledge gap. But luckily, I have a wife that is a kind of a knowledge bank that was able to come in and fill in the gap. So, and I want us to deliberate, learn together, and see, so that we as parents can be equipped. And when you are well informed, you can actually guide your children. You can actually be in good position to help your children advance in their career, in their academic pursuit. And that's why we have titled this event, Understanding the Canadian Educational and Curriculum Options. A lot of them out there, but it will amaze you that there are so many things we don't know. So without much ado, I'm going to bring the guest of today, who happens to be my wife as well, Fumi Bikunle. So I'm going to just bring her straight to the studio and she can take it away from there. Thank you, Fumi. You are welcome. You are now live and you can take it on, and I will take myself out of the studio.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today, sharing what I've found with the Canadian educational and curriculum options. So I believe people who are here would be either parents or the children themselves. So the presentation today will be discussing about the different options that are available here. And by Canada, I'll be touching on some other provinces and what you have to do when you are researching for those areas. So I will encourage you to make notes of your questions as I go along in these slides. I'll be covering a lot of information, but if at any point you have questions, just make a note of it and then we'll take it at the end and then we can just discuss. The idea is to keep this portion around 45 minutes so that we have more time for question and answer. So the agenda for today will be starting with an overview of what the Canadian educational system, the framework, the different school boards, the different curriculum options available, and how you pick a program for your child. What works for each child will be different. It depends on who they are, their personality, what their prospects are, what their strengths are. And like I said earlier, we'll be having a question and answer at the end. So to start from the basis, the Canadian educational system has the three main system from the when you hear K to 12 is in three sections. So we have the elementary, which is from kindergarten to grade 6, and the junior high school is from grade 7 to grade 9, and the high school is from grade 10 to 12. So some provinces start at different ages, like when they start kindergarten, they start at different ages. In Alberta, the kindergarten age is 5. Like, so I know in Ontario, they start at 4, but whatever, wherever province or territory you are living in, your child will start from the elementary and start from the kindergarten. Some schools offer full-time kindergarten. Like when I mean full-time, I mean if a school opens from 8:30 to 3 or 3:30, the kindergartners are there all through, while some schools offer half days. And there are also some daycare or childcare providers that are actually certified to be early learning. So your child does not necessarily have to go to a school for the kindergarten level if they are in a certified daycare. So, for example, like all those Montessori programs, if a child doesn't go to kindergarten, they are still able to achieve the Alberta curriculum and the milestone required for a kindergartner. So, like YMCA, like bigger daycares and the ones that are licensed and actually have a syllabus of, for from 3 years to 5. Some actually have programs for kindergarten. So if have a child like school, like a school age child, we'll say it's from grade one. So because the kindergarten portion is still optional. The post-secondary, which is now where everything leads into, is there are so many options. The same way we have so many career paths based on our interest, on what we love to do, that is the same way all of this, it's like a journey, and everything is, getting us to that post-secondary session. And the whole post-secondary, there are a wide range of options. There's the universities, there are, technical colleges, there are like schools that focus on excuse me, there are also programs that focus on trade and different training and different options that people can take after they turn 18 and finish grade 12. So it's important to know that in Canada, something that is very important is we practice what is called social promotion. You could search and read about social promotion. It means that kids are in different levels based on their age. It doesn't matter what they know, it doesn't matter if they are ready or whatever, they are there based on age. Before, there used to be overlap in years that they would say, okay, if a child turns a certain age by February, they could be in a grade. There's, kids that are born in January, February, December, there's always that fluctuation. But recently, like in Alberta, they have leveled it that they've made it January to December of the same year. So any child born, for example, in 2015, all of them will be in the same grade, 2015, January to December. The parents, however, can opt to still make their child stay behind in kindergarten years. Like I said earlier, because kindergarten is that stage where there's still a lot of flexibility. You can still put your child in daycare and say they're not ready for school. So if you don't want your child to start school until 6 or maybe 7, some parents, maybe if they have kids who are born in December and they feel like they are not ready, January to December, it's almost like 11-month gap. Those kids from around that October, November, December, if the parent feel they are not ready, kindergarten is the best time where you decide that you don't want the child to start the school system yet. Because once they start the school system, they have to follow their peers and go by that year group. So we have to understand what social promotion is, because especially for parents who weren't born here, like who are first generation immigrants, it doesn't work like that where we come from. So a child has to have achieved all the academic curriculum expectation before they go to the next level. So when you're actually finishing the school year and you're saying, oh, we're having end of the year party in June, you are celebrating because you have actually passed. But here it's not that. You celebrate because the calendar year has run. You've gone to school September to June, whether you've gone to school to learn or whether you've gone to school to play. June comes, you're going to celebrate and go to the next level. When you turn 18 in that year, like whether you turn 18 in January or you turn 18 before December that year, whether you figured out your life, whether you know what you are doing, whether you're going to post secondary, whatever you are doing, by June, there's a graduation, there's big party, you are leaving high school. So it's important to bear that in mind so that we don't get carried away with that. In Canada, different provinces have they govern their education. So there is the curriculum conversion and equivalences, right? So I put some here just to be like a guide. Like if you are living in other provinces in Canada, there's always a way that this each province education is compared to one another. The education is governed, the syllabus is set. Every province or territory has their own curriculum, they have their own educational standard, they have their assessment methods, they have graduation requirements. And by graduation requirement, they can say you need 100 credits or 105 credits to finish high school. Some can be academic to get their credit. Some can get their credit from sports. Some could get their credit from trades. So every province have what they deem that this child has graduated. What is their criteria that you have to meet to have graduated? So I put a few of this picture and I've put the source there. So if you like to research, let's say you are moving provinces or for whatever reason you are trying to think, maybe your child wants to school out of province in post-secondary, you can have a look at what all these equivalencies are. I got this from U of A. When you go to the admission pages, you learn more. So, and it's also important to know that sometimes you be coming from a different province and it feels like, oh my god, they are doing less work. No, they are not. It's just broken down and named differently. So an example of this you can see in fine arts in Alberta. When you say you are doing drama, if you are going with the fine arts stream and you are doing drama 30, someone in BC or in Yukon would, drama will have to do the directing and script development, would, do the theater production, the musical theater, the film and TV as separate courses. But drama 30 in Alberta actually covers all of those syllabus. So if someone is coming here and instead of having these six equivalent topics that is rolled all into this drama 30, if they miss, for example, maybe they want to come and go into post-secondary here and they've not done anything about directing or or script development, pardon me, yeah, that might be something that they might have to do it in post-secondary if it doesn't affect their admission. Some it might affect their admission, so it's good for parents to look at this. And if you plan for your child to school in other province or territory. So it's also the same way for social studies, Aboriginal studies. Like you see that some call it like world history. Like if you see the physical education stream, the physical education 30, and if they have recreational leadership, having those two courses already covers all of this other kinesiology, exercise science that Ontario is going to name theirs. I kind of put different examples from the different provinces just to explain what this looks like. So there is a whole chart that compares everything. This is a little small, but I'm just sharing more for you to know. Go online and really dig in. So in Alberta, you can see that most of our courses are just one, like because they are rolled in. So they call their courses like C. Like if you see any course you see C in Alberta curriculum, it means combined. That's just the acronym. So other provinces might have different courses broken down. But when they have that one, it might feel like, oh, they're only doing 4 courses, but it's actually a lot of courses, a lot of skills, a lot of learning outcomes that they have to cover in those. So this is just to give you a guide because I'm going broad so that then we can narrow down into what we as we have this conversation, as we continue on. Every province, it doesn't matter what program you are doing, there is this 6 core curriculum areas, and this stays the same from kindergarten to grade 10. Grade 11 and 12 is when people start, specializing and, following their different paths. So from the early years, from grade 1, every child has to do language arts. By language arts, you do well, that's what covers reading, writing, all those comprehensions, literature, and all of that, just to build their language skills. Everyone would do maths, everyone would do science, everyone would do social studies, physical education, gym, and all those stuff is mandatory, and arts. Even if you don't want to be an artist, you still have to do some art throughout from kindergarten to grade 10. So it's important to know this. So language arts for Alberta, our language arts will be English. If you are in Quebec or if you are in a French immersion program, your language art would be French. There are schools and programs that actually offer second language instruction. So they could offer it in two ways. When you hear like a program is done as second language, it means you are learning it and that is not your primary language of instruction. So when you are learning French as a second language, you will learn French as a subject, you will learn to speak, you learn to read, you learn to write it. When you learn French as an immersion, it means every other thing is done in French. Your maths would be in French because that would be your primary language arts. So that's what separates what is your primary, like what separates your language art. This the language you are learning your language arts in will be the language that you will learn the other subjects in. So it's important to also know this distinction if you are trying to learn a second language. Are you trying to learn German as a second language, or you're trying to go into German immersion where you actually do your science in German? Or, some schools that do immersion, some of them are not even full. Maybe they do the full immersion in year one, two, three, and from grade 4 and above, they switch to the language that is kind of dominant in the area, while some are strictly, they run it as if it's Quebec. Your science will be in French, or maybe if you are in all these Ukrainian school, that all the subjects will be in that language. So language, that's why I'm calling it language arts, not English language. Whatever is your primary will be what you will learn. If you are in English, you will learn English and the reading, writing, literature. If you're in French, that will be your language arts. If it's German, like a German school, and that way. So there are lots of options in that as well. So as a family, as with your kids, you have to decide which school, which language arts you want to be the primary. Is it that I want my child to know how to speak French, but I still want to be able to support them in their science, in their social, in all other subjects, or I just want them to put English to be in the background? That would be a key decision point for families that are interested in additional languages. So going now to the next slide, which I'll be sharing more about the curriculum options. The curriculum options is we are spoiled for choice, and that is why there's so much confusion. Before going into the program options, this is just on curriculum options. By curriculum, public schools, Catholic schools, private schools, charter schools, all of them can decide what their curriculum is. The province will set what the minimum should be. So it's important to know this, that no matter which program you go to, everyone will follow the Alberta curriculum if they are in Alberta, the Ontario curriculum if they are in Ontario, like that. But the type of school you go to will now determine what extra you do and how it is delivered. So in public school, which is the biggest, for example, we have in Alberta, we have the Edmonton Public School, Calgary Board of Education, Elkanline Public School in Sherwood Park, St. Albert. Every like local authority, would have their own public school board. Every local authority too, we have what we call the separate board, which is the Catholic school board. So like in Edmonton, you have the Edmonton Catholic School Division, the Calgary Catholic School District, and the government, the Alberta province, would have set the minimum number of hours of instruction that each student needs to have been exposed to per year. So it depends on the extra that is put into the program. That could also determine how many days you spend in school. So I'll use an example. In Catholic school, they pray, they do mass. So if they spend 2 hours per week, just an example, to pray and do mass, like have the mass, like the service. For people who are not Catholic, have a service. If it's 2 hours a week they spend on that, the government would ask them to calculate how they are going to make up from that for that 2 hours. Because if you are supposed to spend, let's say, a student needs to spend 10 hours every week on maths, 10 hours every week on language arts, and you've taken 2 hours from that week, you are not going to say, okay, 30 minutes from math, 30 minutes from language art, 30 minutes from social. That will not be done. They would then calculate, let's say in a month, those 2 hours in a month, that's 4 weeks, that's 8 hours of school that they've missed. So that would be one extra day per month that they have to be in school. So if it's like, if you miss a day, like equivalent of a day, September, October, 10 months in a school year, that means they have to attend school for extra 10 days in the year. So what would happen is those schools would have less holiday. That doesn't mean because they go to school more, they are learning more. They could learn more, but as long as they spend the time to finish the government's required syllabus, right? And that instruction time, that contact time, that could be different from regular. I'll go into that later. That's why I'm saying the contact time. So if a student needs to spend 10 hours every week on math, you have to spend that 10 hours every week on maths with them. And every other thing, if you have other, maybe it's a sports school, and you spend 2 hours every week focusing on your sports of choice, or if it's a music school and you spend 2 hours every week focusing on music, those 2 hours have to be collated and you have to come to school for more days. So this confuses some parents. They're like, oh, public school, they go to school less. Yeah, if you go to public schools that do regular program and they have that extra time, is given as maybe PD days, maybe non-instruction days, maybe extra spring break, whatever that means. So just to explain why that happens for some parents. So Catholic schools, on the other hand, they are independently funded and run. They have their own jurisdiction. They are the only group, in addition to homeschooling, like if non-supervised, that they don't have to follow any syllabus. So when you are going to pick a private school, you have to do that independent research, because whatever anybody says, whatever you read online will not apply. A private school can decide to be like, okay, we're going to follow US syllabus, and that's fine. They can decide and be like, okay, it's going to be a British school. That's fine. They are independently funded and run. They don't have to follow any of the provincial syllabus. Although, because it's still good practice for them, many of them still have their students take the provincial assessment exams. So the provincial assessment exam is taken in grade 3. That tests what they should have learned between kindergarten and grade 3. One is taken in grade 6, and that should test grade 4 to 6. They call it, like in elementary school, it's like that's the division 1 and division 2. So there's that benchmark exam that the government sets and marks to know that, okay, are these students really progressing? Do they know what they need to know? Then there will be one when at the end of junior high in grade 9, and then the final one that you take to finish your high school. These exams mean nothing to kids. It helps parents. Whether you pass the exam or you fail it, you still go to your next class. But what it means for parents is if the province has done an exam for grade 6 and they score poorly, so maybe if the average score is like 50%, 60%, their ranking will be lower because it means if they are scoring 50, 60%, that means they have not been taught what they should know according to the government curriculum because there's a minimum. But on the other hand, when you see programs that have covered everything the curriculum requires and then takes extra, that means the curriculum exam, the PATs will be easier for them and they will ace it, scoring 90s and hundreds because they are way above that, and that will make the school rank higher. So in that case, if you are going to a private school and they do this PAT and their grades are still okay, so that means you know that at least as a minimum, you are in Alberta, you know, your kids are being taught everything they are supposed to know as an Alberta student. Whatever extra is good. So you have to bear that in mind. Charter schools are public school, they are another group, and they are autonomous, they are not for profit. They provide education, but in a different and enhanced way. They still have to follow the curriculum, but they can now change their style and add more and maybe put some more emphasis. For there is the Aurora School, for example. There's the STEM Collegiate. So maybe in the STEM Collegiate, in their sciences, maybe they will do more experiments, maybe they will do more research to really amplify their science curriculum. But that doesn't mean that they will not meet the social studies curriculum. They still have to meet their curriculum for social studies. They still have to teach the arts, like fine arts, and still meet it and still meet their physical education. Suzuki Charter School is another type of charter school. You have all these school of musics and all of that, that they focus a lot on music, but they still have to meet everything that is required. So another interesting one is homeschooling. Every parent has the right to homeschool their child. It's parent directed, and you could do it from grade 1 to 12 at home or elsewhere. You are responsible for your children's educational decision. There are two forms of that. There is one that is supervised by the local authority. If it's supervised by the local authority, they can specify what the child needs to know, require the child to do those PAT tests to really know if they are progressing, like academically, and know what their peers should know for that age. You need to follow all those rules to get some funding. And some of this homeschooling, maybe there might be labs that, some of them that they might get support if they get to those higher level, that they have to work with the school board that is in charge of that. On the other hand, the non-supervised one is, it requires notification only. Every child has a SIN number, they have doctor, you have all those notes, and the same way they would follow up and be like, oh, this child is supposed to be in school for this age. If you don't want your child to go to school in Canada, you can actually do that and say, oh, I'm homeschooling my child. And if you don't ask for their funding, they can't guide what you do. So if you decide, like, that's another interesting one where parents can decide to educate or not educate, or to focus on whatever way that they want their kids to, choices, right? Parents still have those choices as well, but that's actually a lot of commitment. So this slide is just to show you the sheer number of all these options. The homeschooling is not even on this chart, but the authority column is showing like the different authorities. Like, for example, Edmonton Public School is a school authority, and that's just one. Catholic School Board is one. Eck Island, like I mentioned earlier. So in Alberta now, there are 23 authorities offering charter schools, and there are 40 total schools in that. There are 97 different authorities and 139 schools for the private operators. There are federal First Nation schools, francophone schools, like I was mentioning, that are purely French. Four authorities offer that. Private schools, 168. that they don't even have to follow the curriculum at all. And they have 228 schools. For the provincial, we have like 34 authorities, and public school is where I'll be focusing on more today, and they are the largest. So the separate is the Catholic. So there are 1,572 schools across the 42 local authorities in Alberta. They are the largest. So when people are talking about schools, that's usually where what they are referring to. Because there's so much choice, we are spoiled for choice. It's important that we do our research before we decide what to do. Program options are broad. So you look at the provincial educational website, you look at the school district resources, you go for open houses. I love open houses because you can read as much as you do online, but when you go to the schools, that's when you really get to know. Open houses are usually around January to March every year, and they are always advertising it on the billboard. When you go on the public school website, you see schools highlighting when they are open houses. Because science, I would say, for example, now, a child can do science and be in the same grade. In some schools where they only have maybe no lab, maybe they are doing all the experiments in front of the class, and the teacher is doing the experiment and the students are just looking. And the same topics, some students would have their own setup because they have fully equipped labs. All these schools online will still tell you we are offering this. Open houses is where you actually go there and see for yourself. Make time, even if your kids are not ready. It's even the best time when your kids are not ready to go to that level. If your kids are in elementary school, you can choose to make it, maybe a year or two before they go to junior high. Go visit a few junior highs. By the time you've gone to 3, 4, you start seeing the differences because they open their classrooms, you see the labs, you see their gym, whatever your child is interested in. If you are going to a school that your child wants to do sports, and they want to try every type of sport. Some schools have swimming pool, have running tracks, some don't. You might not know. You might know some online, but you might not know. So I will encourage people to go to open house. Many of the things I learned in addition to this research have been me just going to open houses just to see for myself what they are talking about. Science is not science. You see some schools are, enhancing it more. A child that is just watching someone doing an experiment is different from a child that is actually doing it themselves. And the same thing with sports. Like if you have all this opportunity, every child will be able to thrive and enjoy what they want to do. During the open houses, you have the opportunity to meet with the teachers, the educators there, the school counselors, and ask questions. You can actually consult with them, get their contact, ask some more detailed and clarifying questions to really, whatever you've read online, if you have questions and you want some comparison, they'll be able to answer you. But if you don't go to open houses, it's difficult to put a face, to that name and really be able to drill down. So whatever school your child is also in, being part of the parent teacher association, you learn more about whatever curriculum options, whatever decision that you can be part of it. And if you have questions, you can ask friends, neighbors, colleagues, attend programs like this. That's also how you learn. When you see kids that they are, doing well, maybe they are doing what your child wants to do, it doesn't ought to ask them or to ask their parents for guidance so that then you'll be able to clarify what you need to do. So I'll be focusing on Edmonton Public School. I've shared that you can do your research on different ones, but so that you really understand what you are reading online. So when you go on Edmonton Public School website, they have three main broad category of programming. They have the regular, the alternative, and the specialized. When you click on the regular, it shows you that most schools offer regular programming, but no two schools are quite the same. That's little phrase. It's pregnant with meanings. Regular program presents the curriculum required by Alberta education in a way that is accessible for all learning styles and background. School adjusts their delivery to meet student needs So a school's focus, optional courses, and activity would vary. That word from going to open houses, talking to, school educators, the counselors, I realized that that is really what makes the difference between a good school and a bad school. As we all know, we learn concepts from simple to complex, from known to unknown. So I'll use an example we can all relate with. A child that does not know one plus one, you will not start teaching the child negative, like two minus one. They need to get the concept of, okay, you had it. Okay, you had one plus one, it makes two. Now you take away one from it, it makes one. It's you build on it. Then you go into multiplication, right? Before you go into division. A child that cannot divide 12 oranges into four places, how do you start decimals? You can't. And that is why no two schools are quite the same. So schools are now, regular program, are now based on the quality of the students that come in. By quality, I mean their parental support, other extracurricular things that have built them up to make things easier for teachers to be able to advance and move. There's a school that is one of the best in Edmonton. It's Windsor Park. It's a regular program. But most of the kids there, they are, U of A, professor kids is around that area. These kids are already ahead. Like before they start kindergarten, many of them can read 1 to 100, can write, can do everything. So if a child can read, write, and do all of that, what do? You go to the next level. You are trying to teach them in kindergarten addition. They know subtraction, you go there. They get it, you go to multiplication, you go to division, and you progress. So they might be in their left grade one, grade two. They might already be doing concept that is way above because they know it. You won't bore them teaching them what they know already. The same way you won't stress out a student that doesn't know something with more complex thing. So it's important to know this, that no two schools are quite the same. So we go to the next slide, please. So the alternative program, there are different ones. They are, it can be based on art, athletics, languages, faith-based, and teaching philosophy. I've touched on the other ones except the teaching philosophy. So in terms of the teaching philosophy, they have academic alternative, academic enrichment, academic placement. We have the business and innovation, Caraway, Cogito, IB, Shekinah Circle, sciences, traditional learning. Those are teaching philosophy. They still cover the syllabus and they might cover more. And the way they feature this is the style, the classroom setting, all of those things come into play in this. Because there are so many teaching philosophy, I was reading everything. I liked many of it. But what then helped me to decide which program to go to put my kids into when we first moved to Canada was when I then did a research to look at, okay, what are the school rankings? That then helped me to find out where I want to be. So when you are doing your research, the things you have to consider is your child's learning style. Every child cannot fit into, like a child that doesn't want sciences, that doesn't show interest in that. You might not decide that too early. Like you might give them till they're like about 10, 12. If they are showing interest in arts or showing interest in sports, their needs, their learning styles, you might want to tend towards that. A child that has this flair for music might need a school with specialized music program. Then you have to sit down with the child as they grow older to kind of start setting those goals and be like, what are your educational goals? What do you want to be? If you're like, oh, I want to be the next Messi, a footballer, you still have to finish your school, but maybe you go to a sports school where you spend like longer time perfecting your skill in soccer, or maybe perfecting your skills in hockey, so that in addition to it being extracurricular, you can bring it home to mainstream. And it might be different if a child just wants to do sports for extracurricular. What are the values? Some of your family values. What are the things like that might make you determine, okay, what about your faith? You have to look at that when now choosing the curriculum, because usually it comes with a package. You will like some part, you might not like some part. And some of the parts you might not like it might impact your family lifestyle and resources. If you have a very good school that you love so much and you live 40 minutes away, how are you going to be able to drop that kid in school? Or how many hours of busing would that mean? What would that cost be? Or you want your child to go to private school? What would be that cost of that? What are their long-term academic goals and aspirations? All of this would help you decide where you want them to be. So when I did my research, I used Fraser. Fraser Institute has different report card for different provinces. So we live in Alberta. I was able to see the report of all schools in Alberta, narrowed down to Edmonton. I showed you some links here where you can have for British Columbia, Ontario, Quebec, different places. And what they base this on is the average on the provincial test. Like I said earlier, the government will do a benchmarking test that this is what a 10-year-old should know, like, or maybe a 12-year-old in grade 6, they should be able to know these concepts. If they test them and they score high, it means they have covered the syllabus. So, and that would be what will feed into their Fraser Institute score. But if they didn't cover the syllabus because of all these things I was talking about, which usually might happen in a regular program. If a child is in grade 4 and is supposed to be learning division, for example, but they are still struggling with subtraction, that doesn't mean that they wouldn't ask them for division in the PAT test. They will still ask them because it's on the syllabus, but that means they are going to fail and their grade will be poor, and that would make the school ranking lower because they haven't covered the syllabus. And this will be for each subject: what they should learn in science, what they should learn in languages. Whether you were not able to catch up as a teacher, that doesn't mean the PAT is going to be the same. So that is where this school now come to play. So I then looked at the PAT I live in Edmonton. I look at the Fraser report, and I circled some schools that were like 99%, 100%. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. That gave me a benchmark to now write down the names of the school. So I'm explaining the process I went through, because every parent, wherever you live, you would now have to go through this for yourself and now compare it with what your other goals and the location and all of that. So I circled this school and now went to start searching for the schools on the public school board. So I saw some that were Catholic, I saw some that were Edmonton Public School, and I saw like three schools that were Edmonton Public School. I saw Stratford, I saw Mount Pleasant, I saw Richard Secord. Then as I was researching, I was like, oh, okay, there's something in common about these schools. And then I found out those three schools were offering Cogito. Then I researched more into Cogito, and it's like, oh, this is interesting. Then I went there, spoke with the principal, did all of that. I was able to, I like their results. I like everything else I could see. Then I'm like, okay, I want to live close to these schools to increase my chances of getting in, so that way I won't be spent in terms of resources. Because as parents, all of this are interconnected. Like, how will this impact my life? If the best schools, if I'm new in the country, or maybe I'm still in the process of moving house, or I still have the option in the next few years, and the school where I want my kids to be is about 40 minutes away and my workplace is elsewhere, how can I make it all align? Because I've narrowed down the program. Now I went to the high school. I was now able to trace that up to the grade 9 and realize that, okay, this program ended at grade 9. So as parents, Fraser is a good place to start so that you unpick school names and now start drilling down to know what is their philosophy, what type of school board are they, why is this different? And that was when I knew about these wins, or that, okay, this is regular. What is different about them? Then go visit, see what, speak to their teachers and really know that, okay, it's all about the students of high performance, like all these lecturers, they are very academic focused. They've taught them way ahead, and that is their secret. So you have to now know what is the secret of each school and layer it with what, as a family, what your goal is, what your child wants to do, and then decide. So Fraser is a good place to start. So another important point that I feel many parents miss out of is we do social promotion, like I said earlier. So if your child is studying or your child is playing, you have to know that what is their goal, because whatever they are doing every day, if it doesn't align with their goal, it's just a wish. In grade 8, your syllabus is what, yeah, sorry, not syllabus. In grade 8, your score is what would determine the schools you can get into in grade 9. Every neighborhood has a feeder school. It doesn't matter what you score, as long as you have that date of birth and you are supposed to be in grade 10 in that year, they will give you a score. But if you now want to have choices and be like, oh no, I want my child to go to that school, you need to know what that school is going to be looking out for. And it's not in grade 9 when they are moving that you start determining that. The grade 8 score, there are some schools that they will tell you, even though you like this program, you can't enter into this program because you scored less than 75% in your grades. And that is grade 8 grade and the first term of grade 9, because admission starts January, February. By March, sometimes depending on the school calendar, maybe first week in April, that's it for the year. So as parents, we need to make sure we understand what these grades are, so that your child is not telling you this is what they want to do, this is what they want to achieve, this is the school they would like to go to, but everything they are doing in their day to day is exactly opposite that. Every child will do well. It doesn't matter where you shine. You just have to know where you shine and put it there. So I'll use an example of trades. A child that wants to do trade and has decided that that is their career path would actually do well because they've started working towards it, planning for it from a younger age and aligning all their resources into that, than a child that says, oh, I want to go into medical school, and they are doing exactly opposite. And now what they need, the grade they need to get there, they are not there. If they eventually land somewhere else, they will still not be happy and they will still not be prepared. So it's never really a good space. Someone who goes into trade from age 18, they don't get student loan. They start working. Some high school already help them to almost become journeyman by that age 18. A child that knows what he's doing, working from age 18 plus, before their counterparts who went to medical school, before they finish pre-med of 4 years, finish med school of 4 years, do residency, can be 3 to 7, 8 years. Before they finish in 12 to 15, 17 years, they have been earning all along. If they know what they are doing and they have like, this is my goal, this is what I want to do, and they're already investing and saving and planning for their life, they will come out ahead. But what happens is that many people will set a different goal, work towards something different, and land in the middle of nowhere and they are confused. This presentation is not to say one program is better than the other. This is just to share that know your goal and work towards it. And so that you are not self-sabotaging or allowing your child to self-sabotage themselves by setting beautiful big goal and not working towards it. So going back to the slide on educational foundation. In grade 9, a child that doesn't score enough, if they score 75% and below, they cannot do math 10C. Like I was saying, it's combined course here, right? They will ask them to go to math 10-3. They still have the leeway to still be able to adjust, right? So if they follow this stream of 10C, 21, 31, they will be in the first course sequence. And I'll be sharing more about the course sequence later. Just follow me. I put a few pictures so that I will be able to explain this concept. Whoever does this is the second course sequence. Whoever does this kind of math is the third course sequence. You are already picking a third course sequence once your grade in grade 9 is not up to 75%. Please go to the next slide so that I will share this. In Alberta, this is our grading. A plus is 90 to 100, A minus is 80, B is 77. Some parents need to come off whatever country they are coming from in terms of the grading system. If you are from the UK, from Nigeria with the British system, 70% is A, 70 here is B minus. It's not looking good for you. So if your child is coming home with 70 and they want to be a stream 1 student, you better know that they are already self-sabotaging themselves. And this is when you spring to action to support them or to tell them to rethink their goals. So if you look at this, when you score B grade or better, you can see there, that's 77. So they take 75. So it's in that middle point. You go to 10C. Whoever scores C grade or below, like all those 67, they can still tell the school that they want to still achieve their goal of being a stream 1 student, but then they would need to attend support class and sit up. A child at this level, some parents see their kids scoring 70 and they don't know things are already falling apart. This presentation is to let you know the grades in Alberta and know what to check out for. So that if your child needs support class, they are booking with the guidance counselor, they are discussing their goals and they are working towards that. So that if they do better, they can still go back to their path by going to 21 when they get to grade 11. If they don't do well, still with the support, they continue on in that stream of 10-3 to mass 23. You can see that it's all still going to grade 11. It's still not time to rest. You still need to score 65% or better to progress to mass 31. Anything below 65, you drop to mass 32, and that means that is a stream 2 student. It's not bad, but it just means you have to make sure your goals are aligning so that you are not just wishing, you are setting goals and working towards it. If they don't do well in this, someone who still started 10C might still end up with mass 33. All of this, there's a lot of parts, a lot of movement up and down. Whoever needs to do advanced placement, maybe they want to do more technical courses like engineering, courses that need maths in university, they are the people that would then need mass 31 as extra or 31 advanced placement. And those are the things that maybe it might help to take your child a year or 2 years ahead to a university open house and be like, what do you want to study? Let's go for this open house. Let's talk to the university. If you don't have mass 31 or mass 30-1 or mass 31, you can get there. Sit tight so that you have years to correct, years to get support, years to move through the swim lane to make sure you are still on your path. So to the next slide, please. It's the same thing for language arts. From grade 9, if they score B or better, they go to 10-1 in their languages. A child wants to study law, they want to do all these any language-based courses. You have to know what they need to do. Do they need 31 or 32? You see how all these streams, how it flows here and there. Their grades matter, so that they are going to be preparing themselves for what they need to do to avoid frustration. The next slide, please. I also put it in social studies so that you see that even social have all of this. 65% in Nigeria is B3. 65% in Canada may change your career trajectory. British system is what Nigerian follows. you can crash your exam because maybe your assessment might be like up to 30 to 40%. Your exams are 60 to 70%. It's an all or nothing thing. Everything is hinged on your huge final exam. It doesn't work like that in Canada. It's continuous assessment. You might have 10, 10 marks for each test and have about 6 tests. That is already 60 marks done. Then you have another 20 that might be assignment or group work or experiment or whatever. And your final exam could be 20 or 30 or 40. Final exam in Canada are never more than 40%. So a child that is supposed to be doing well and already start counting towards their final grade, if they don't get their hearts together from the beginning, indirectly they're already choosing their paths. So it's important that parent knows what the final thing their child should be in grade 12, so that they start making sure they are following up from grade 8, grade 9, 10, so that they make sure they will be able to achieve it. When you see 70, what does that mean? Sometimes 70 should be alarm bell. 65 is warning, really. So some parents don't know this because they are still looking at the British system, the Nigeria system. YX score 75 to 100 is A1. 70 is a different system. We are in Canada. We have to understand the educational system, understand the grades and what it means for our children and their future. Like I've just said, a student that is studying during final exam is already late to the party. All the grades are done. I also showed this for the sciences, and you can just go online if you want to research this more and look at um, math options, high school math option, high school science option, so that you know the different one. It's very easy for sciences because when you do well in science 10, you just do your biology, physics, chemistry. If you need support, you need support for that. And if you can't do biology, physics, chemistry, if a child has to drop to science 14, they just continue to science 24. And guess what? From that grade 10, they have kissed a lot of courses in the university goodbye. It's not the end of the world, but it's about knowing that, okay, what are my goals? What do I want to do with this? And this, if this is not what I want, how do I come out of there? So if we go to the final slide so that I can talk more about the course sequence. I talked about course sequence earlier. I brought this back so that we can follow it. Help your child to fine-tune their course sequence. Your preparation needs to align with goals. The first course sequence, as you can see there, is students that would need all this, trigonometry, permutation, combination, binomial theorem. These are usually courses required in many university level courses, right? The second level, these are still courses that they need that critical thinking, but they need like functions, statistics, probability, but they don't need all those deep ones like an engineering student will. Once you're already coming off all of this Mass 31, you're already kissing your engineering career goodbye. That's the way it works here. Once you're already scoring, like from your Mass 21, you're already scoring 70, you're scoring 65. That's it. If you don't have Mass 31, it's done. A child that does Mass 33, you can see the third course sequence here. This is for students who just need mathematical understanding, critical thinking skill, and they have been identified for entry into majority of trades or direct entry into the workforce. A child that just wants to graduate high school and want to go and work, they don't need Mass 31 because they're not trying to go into university. They're trying to see, okay, I want to do trade, I want to do this. It's important to clarify that goal, and it will help parents. If you set these goals with your kids, it won't be you nagging, it's you reminding them of their goals. And it's good to take them to where they want to be so that they hear with their ears, write down their goals, and know that if you are playing video games, you are doing this, you are scoring 70, you are already choosing another sequence indirectly. So this is not to scare us as parents. We'll go to the final tips and takeaway slides. This is for us to know how to support our children. We need to listen to them. We need to set goal, adjust goal, be goal driven. Know what you are choosing. When you are not doing well in your tests and you've lost that 10 marks, the second test, you've lost the 20 marks, you already know that you are fighting for the remaining 80. What do you do about that? It's not at the end that will be like, oh, I want to do this, and we are just wishing. Foundation also matter. Many kids are helpless in these levels because a child that they've already messed up because they are in a program when they are supposed to be teaching them multiplication and division, because if 50% of the class, if 50% does not know a concept, they will not introduce the next one. So if your child is now the one eye Sunday, it's a saying in a book, in a school of the blind, figuratively, the child is scoring 100% because they are in grade 4, their mates are learning division, their mates are learning decimals, but they are still teaching them addition and subtraction. Are you looking at the school to make sure that even though your child is their best, are they the best at what they are supposed to be learning? Because a child that doesn't know the addition, subtraction when they're supposed to know it, when they now have to play catch up, and you now ask them to do probability when they have rushed those concepts, it's difficult. As a parent, it can still be salvaged. It might need extra tutoring. It might need extra time focused on it. But not knowing until too late is a problem. Mix that with teenage, emotions, their exuberances, their stuff. It's easier for you to choose a good school so that they have that foundation. Look at all the different teaching curriculums, whatever works. If you're in a regular, make sure it's a regular in a good area with lots of good intakes and that they are tracking the syllabus. Know the Alberta curriculum. Know that your kids are meeting what they need to meet and that they are not still teaching them grade 2 work when they are in grade 4 because 50% of the class does not know it. Because indirectly, those classmates pulling them down, weighing them down, even though if the child is brilliant and smart and has the potential, they might not be able to keep up if their goal is to be in sequence 1 or sequence 2. They might just, be weighed down by that. So it's helping your child. And if a child wants to do sequence 3, it's supporting them so that they are ahead. There are a lot of high schools that they would have done all of this trade things before they even finish high school. So that as they are finishing high school, they are working, they are already earning. Now your goal as a parent is now financial planning, the financial knowledge, all of those things to invest, because it depends on what trade they choose. If it's a trade that will be heavy on the body that they might not be able to do in their 40s, in their 50s, that means they have shorter working time, right? Someone who is a doctor who didn't start working until age maybe 30, I will just use 30 as a round figure, before they start working. If they've done 4 years pre-med, 4 years medical school, 4 years residency as average, some are 3, some are 5, some are 7, they are not working until age 30. But because their work might not be as stressful on them, they might be able to work to their late 50s. Someone who can work at 80, at 18, sorry, at 18, who is doing maybe a roofing, carpentry, furniture, and all of those things, making a lot of money from a young age, they might not be able to still continue with that strength at age 50. It's now what you are earning early. What am I supposed to focus on as a parent to help them understand how to manage their money, their financial planning, so that we come off this wishful thinking and come to the reality and support our child. A child that's been earning from 18, planning themselves well, should have 12 years of wealth already built up, that someone who is starting with a higher pay at that level needs time to catch up. Some people even finish from this great career path like medical school, dental, pharmacy with a lot of loan. So in another 3, 4, 5 years, they are still trying to catch up. But you find out that many times, because many people don't plan, someone who started 15 years late is still able to meet up, pay the debt, catch up, and still recover all while they are still there, because they didn't really align their goals, their strengths with the stream they want to be and plan their life. So this is all I have to say just for parents. If you have any questions, please feel free to talk and let's just discuss about this. Thank you. Can we hear you?
Oh yeah, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
You're on mute. Yeah.
Yeah. I was saying thank you so much, Fumi, for doing this, and I really appreciate you doing this for us. And I appreciate the time you have put into getting this lot of information. I was just looking when you presented. Oh my God, to be honest, I thought I do know some things, but I realized that I don't know much. But thank you so much, and I'm going to we have a Tokolo, that is the director of Aspire Hub, now to coordinate the. By the way, she's my boss. Yeah, I'm gonna talk where you have the floor. You can coordinate the question and answer, and please you can type your question and on YouTube message, and we are going to see it live and we attend to that. Thank you. Talk where you have the floor.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for me for this beautiful session.
You're
You
welcome.
have always been an inspiration. You have always inspired me, and your family has been a blessing to our community in many ways. Thank you for all the things you do behind the scenes to make a lot of things work. She's not the one to take credit for a lot of things she does because she's humble that way. But we need to give her flowers sometimes for the things she does.
Thank
Friends,
you.
let's appreciate for Let's, if you can clap wherever you are, please. Let's just appreciate her for the amazing person that she is. And thank you, Doctor, for this platform. Okay, do not listen to him. He is on the board of Aspire Hub, and they actually make me do the things that I do. I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve in this way. He's my boss. Is just trying to it's just trying to put me under the bus. All right, so let's go to question and answers. Okay, we can see some commendations coming in. Yeah, a lot of things. Yes, that is received. Okay, question. If my son is in 10C math, is there hope for him to still do engineering?
Yes, so 10C maths is excellent. They are in grade 10, they're in the right path. They just need to make sure they keep their grade up. Once they keep their grade up and they are doing well in 10C, now they go to 20C and now they progress to 30C. So, what I would say is many times it's good to look at the future engineering and set that long term goal. But the most important thing is that step in front of you. That step is that 10C. That step is him trying his best, making sure every assessment is acing it. Whether it's 5%, whether it's 10%, making sure you are putting it in the bag because that will accumulate. And once he's able to get all the grades in the bag, he's ready for 20C. He focuses on that. He gets to 30C. And as he masters 30C, if he wants to do engineering, he would need math 31. So it's just one step at a time. No, he's a high stream guy, and he's not a guy that crashes. He's a guy that from the first day of school is revising what he needs to know because those grades matter.
Thank you, Ma. All right. We have another question here. Can you please share links to read more about grading and other important stuff?
Yeah, so the grading thing, you just all this. I put some of the source there. We could put it in the description box. It depends on what you want. If it's just the grading, Albata curriculum, Albata provincial board, just go there, just type Albata grading. It will show you the marks. So the province sets that. So if you just go to Albata curriculum, we'll put later after this. I won't be able to do that live now, but we'll be able to search online and put the links. But just a Google search, you can also find that.
Thank you. I don't think we have. Okay, can you please? Okay, I think we answered that. There was a comment about Pat in grade 3 that it is no longer
Yes.
a thing.
Yeah,
What?
they stopped that during COVID. I think 2020, 2021. They said they paused it. During COVID, they even didn't do some assessment. But now I think they've now, after COVID, I think recently they've now canceled it altogether. So now if you now look at the Fraser Institute, schools that are new schools, you have to know that Fraser Institute uses 5 years of data. So every year, whatever is the average for that school, they will keep it for 5 years. So for new schools that started and they've had PAT of grade 3, it's still not up to 5 years. So when you are still doing research now, before you stop seeing it will be about 2026, 2027, before it now becomes totally obsolete, because it's still not up to 5 years that they stop PAT. And until some schools that they start from kindergarten, they don't allow kids to join in front. They will still have that grade until they have the PAT for the grade 6 and be able to use that. So I put that there because you might still find it on Fraser, depending on the school you are looking into. But you are
Thank you.
correct. Yeah, they stopped it
Thank
2021.
you. Okay, we have another question from SCC Media. How soon should we approach universities to learn about courses and so on? Is it when the child is in grade 10 or is it 11?
I like to go early because it gives you time to make the corrections. Open houses are free events, and they always advertise it. You can just, if you see U of A open house, you will see they always put it when you are driving on Gateway Boulevard, Calgary Trail. For those in Edmonton, I know you see the announcement. If you are in Ontario, Calgary, just dress up, go for open house and have fun. I actually find this so fun when I go a year, 2 years ahead, that I don't have to make a decision. It makes the experience so enjoyable because you are there, no string attached. Go to the university, you will meet the advisors, you meet the counselors, they will be there in person. You ask them questions, they will give you prospectus, give you magazines, give you resources, give you all those materials, and you actually have the opportunity to collect cards, so that maybe 1 year down the line you now have a question, you are scratching your head, you have a pile of cards that you can be like, hello Mrs. This, or hello Dr. This, hello Mr. This, I met you so time, I have this question. Because you have had access to their personal information, you have that, and it actually helps the children to be motivated. As parent, it helps me because it's not my goal. Like I tell my kids, I'm living my own life, I'm planning, I have my own. So when you go there and you see, and I'm like, oh, you have this 10 marks, could you remember the open house? It's an experience. Then maybe if they go to their favorite university, they go there, it becomes a goal. They take pictures there, they can put it in their vision board. It becomes something they look forward to. So grade 10, I will go grade 10. I will go again grade 11. Maybe grade 10, go to as many schools as possible just for fun. Eat all the free food, drink water, take pictures and do selfies. Then grade 11, you already narrowed down maybe to like 3 or 5, right? Even if your child doesn't want to school if your child doesn't want to school within province, if they are schooling outside the province, maybe you are planning a travel or vacation and you can take them there. Your child wants to go to BC, you have something to do in BC. Can you plan it around then so that you have the opportunity to go? And now by grade 11, you should have been able to narrow down to 3 or 4. So when you have narrowed it down, there are some other things that you now be able to feel. Some schools are so huge, there are 1,000 people in a class. And it's like, oh my God, do I want that?
Hmm.
Versus a school that is medium size. Are there other things? There's the feel that you get. So you go and you go again till you are ready. The more you have this, the more neural pathways in your brain, because that goal becomes something real, it becomes tangible. So it's good for the kids, it's good for the parents learning.
Thank you. This is great. This is great. All right. So, as you're planning those trips, even if it's just, regular holidays or whatever, take all the kids along, take the grade 9 students along, take the grade 8 students along. And some of these schools, they even do tours. They
Yeah,
go
they
to
do.
stores. Yeah. So we've participated in a couple of those stores. Even if you're outside Canada, if you are in other countries, like you're in the US or in the UK, wherever you go to Europe, explore these schools. Let's open the kids' mind to possibilities. Let them see what's possible for them to achieve, and they get to know. Oh, what? Sometimes they don't know what they want, but they can see what they don't want. You know,
Yes.
by going through all of those experiences with you, it helps them to affirm the things that they want and to communicate with you what they don't want, and
Yes.
not just you take the kids along. I think there was a comment like that
Yeah.
on the screen earlier. It's not just
Yeah.
you and your husband going on vacation. Take
Go
the
take the children, let them see, let them take pictures. Like
Yeah,
those pictures, those memories, it becomes like, oh my God, I want to come here. Like if they want really, like it's like it goes from like to love. It goes like, oh my God, I have to come here.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. There is another question that if you want our kids to study in Ivy Leagues, is this the same path?
Yes. So what you would do is they want to study in Ivy League, start researching the Ivy Leagues. Many Ivy Leagues have extra layers of stuff, right? Some of them might require SAT, GRE, like whatever other exams. Some might require CASPA. Whatever all these exams are, every school will be different, so that now you would, by the time you research, you know what is the acceptance rate, what are the other things. Some schools even require you to have significant extracurricular that you can talk about, write about. You start making that part and it starts shaping your choices. So research Yale, read page to page. The universities have researched a lot, they put a lot of information out there. If they really want to go to Yale, they really want to go to Preston, maybe three, four, five, research each of them, know what the courses are, know what I was talking about equivalencies before, know what the equivalencies are, know which programs. Like, do you want to do IB? Do you want to do AP? You know, there is AP, there are some schools that will accept you with just AP individual subjects. But there
Mhm.
are some schools that want you to do if you want to do AP, do the full AP and they have a like a thesis you do at the end that gives you the full curriculum, not just individual subjects. If you want to do IB, when you go to university websites, right, also check AP admission, check IB admission. If you know you want to school in Europe, then AP is not for you. IB is for you. If you want to open the door to go into, like, maybe you want to school in Norway, you want to school in UK, you want to school in Australia, because all of these schools now, these programs make the conversion easier. It's in Alberta that they are able to compare Ontario to BC to this. But when it's global, if you know your child has that global scope, then they better start aligning and going to those programs that will make the admissions easier and the conversions easier. IB is a very good program for global. AP is very good for North America. So, but make sure you finish it. Schools will even tell you what grade they want. You will see, oh, IB 42 points, you see AP 40 points. You start looking at it, what does the point mean? Okay, you start strategizing. How do you get 42? Where can you get the easiest 7? What are the extra things you do? You start calculating all of this. Yeah.
Thank you. Looks like we are going to bring you back again. Questions, like the questions are still coming in. All right. Are there resources or links you can recommend for parents to adopt to help build good foundation, especially from kindergarten?
Yeah, so it's more of the, like, it's not a one resource thing, it's a lot of programs. So if you are going to put your child in childcare, start looking at daycares that actually have syllabus, right? From before kindergarten. They are going there, you're going to pay. Maybe it's extra $100 or extra $50. Sometimes it's even the same. Some daycares are just there, they play, whereas some daycare like Montessori, like YMCA, they actually have an early learning curriculum, they learn. So that is actually a good space to start before kindergarten. And if your child is not going to daycare, maybe you have grandma or you are a stay-at-home mom, they have all these 100 voices. They have this ABC Head Start that are preschool for a few hours where they could learn. There's a lot of YouTube resources. There's a lot of Phoenix. There's all this sound and all this stuff. There's the library. You get books from the library. I research great books per year. So let's say when my child is in grade 1, what books will build their language for grade 1? I will research, I'll get the authors, I'll vet it, because we are in these days that there's a lot of bad content. So I'll do my desktop research Make sure it's good content that will build their language. Then I'll go on. I live in Edmonton Public Library. I'll reserve all the books. Sometimes I could reserve 30, 40 books because I know I won't get it all at the same time. So if they give me 3, 4, they read it, I return it, I get the others. When I know I've exhausted and I feel they're ready, you go to grade 2. You keep going down to build their language and the different language skill they learn from reading. I also, try IXL, right? Not all parents like it, right? But the kids don't really like it because it's negative marking. Yeah, it's negative marking, then you have to focus. So yeah, sometimes you have to walk your kids through it. Sometimes you have to sit with them. And when they start getting all those banners and buttons and all those medals, they get excited. IXL now has videos. If there's a concept they don't know, they can click and play the video to learn the concept. So IXL is also something that once that child build that maths and that language proficiency, a child that can read well will read science and understand it, will read social and understand it, will be able to write clear sentences, and that way you keep building from there. And make sure they are in a good school, in a good program, that they are being challenged. Don't let them be the local champion, local champion in quote, that they are now giving them something that is below them. Make sure you know their better curriculum, Google it, and make sure that that's what they are teaching them. Thank you.
Thank you, sis. We all have to be researchers. That's what I'm hearing. We
Yeah.
cannot leave our governments to raise our children for us. Period. Government has put in a lot of curriculum. There are a lot of individuals that are doing a lot of great things to help the community. Different people come with their own different agenda. So we do our own work. We keep doing it. We keep doing it and keep doing it. When we finish with our children, we start with our grandchildren. Amen to that. Okay. Another question. I may have missed this, but is it the school that determines which course a child will take based on their performance, like the course sequence they will be on in high school?
Yeah, it's not the school, it's the child. The child, everything starts and ends with the child. Like, it's not, you go to uni and they tell you to study engineering, someone has about engineering, you need maths 31. Period. They don't care what you do, just give us maths 31. They want you to score 85% or 80% in maths 31 to have admission. If you have dropped out of maths 21, you can't do maths 31. And if you don't have maths 31, then you can't go to school in that course. You now have to look for what your grades can carry. So it's the grade that determines how you progress. I will encourage you, because this is, I kind of put pictures and explain so that maybe you go back, rewind later and kind of watch it to see how everything, it's per level. When you score less than 65%, you don't move to the next level, you don't move to the next level. It's not about somebody choosing, it's about the university admission. They have their criteria, and you either meet it or you don't meet it. It's like, if you're from Nigeria, if they say your jam, you need 200 for jam. There are some university, if you don't score 200, you can't even study anything. Like anything, you can't even get in. But you can now say, okay, you score 220. What is second choice? Oh, you score 290. Yeah, you get your first choice. It's the same way, but it's that they use it per grade, per subject, and the combination is different.
I will also encourage people to talk to their school counselors. A lot of us, if you are not yet actively engaging your school counselors, it's time to book time in their calendar and start to talk. There's time to be a lot more proactive about these things. We can't leave it to the schools. We can't leave it to the kids, obviously. Some of them are still confused. Okay. I live in Ontario. How do I get the grading system for both elementary and high school? I think she answered this. Go on Ontario website, search your Ontario school district,
Yeah.
and search. You want to speak more to that?
No, that's it. You've answered it.
Yeah. Please, all of us, if you are not, the presentation has been focused on Alberta. If you are not from this province, every school, that's the good thing about Canada. Every school district have documents online.
Yeah.
But we have to dig them out. We have to research them.
And then Fraser Institute also, like I showed in the presentation, just pictures of Fraser Institute. You can also start from Fraser Institute and start circling schools and now narrow down, so that if you are you don't know where to start from Fraser Institute for the Ontario schools, for the city you live in, and narrow down from there. That will give you some pointers that you'll be able to expand more.
For the person that said they want their students to attend Ivy Leagues of schools outside of Canada, you know that you have more work to do. You have to really travel, get to meet those schools, start to research about it. They have ton and ton of open houses and school tours. It's time to get into it. The opportunities are there for the student. Just
Yeah.
help them to fly.
And let me just add this, and please, when you are choosing the place to live, the neighborhood to live, you are making a very big decision. Because you see a property is area with very cheap properties, things are cheaper for some reasons. Based on my experience, I noticed that in Edmonton, for example, areas with good schools are more expensive. Whether you like it or not, you see the same house in a particular area A is more expensive, and I've checked very well. And you see most of the good schools in Edmonton, they are somehow concentrated in the same area. No, sometimes when you make some decision, they have consequences. Yeah, this house is so cheap. Some people say, I don't understand why you're buying the same house for the same price. Everybody, this is one of the reasons for it. We want you to actually see how things are interconnected. Things have been, we live in a system where things have been set up in a way to favor some. You need to bring yourself into it. Fumi was mentioning when we're coming to Canada, we on purpose rented our first apartment about 5 blocks away from the school we wanted, because we know it's very competitive, and because you pass the entrance exam does not mean you get in, because they will still do ballot. We enter into that place, we got our keys in, then we move from that neighborhood. We've not been in that neighborhood since, and because we have a child in that school, we were able to keep having our children
Giving
in that school.
priority.
They give them priority, sibling priority. Of course, we have to drive down, but I tell you, based on experience, I would rather drive 40 minutes than to be dealing with emotional bullying or being called to class to come and speak. This thing that parents they call you to this thing. No, I would rather spend that time driving my kids in winter in this thing. It's just intentionality. And I want to encourage your parents here that you need to be intentional about your children. You don't leave, that's what Sister T was saying. You can't leave this into the government, to the teacher, right? And there was a question about the father, who decide the cost? Yes, actually, my wife said your child, and I will say you too. You decide, because sometimes these kids don't know much, and that's why we need to know and guide them. We should teach our children in the way they should go, or guide them in the way they should go, so that when they grow, they will not depart from it. It's a lot of intentionality, and this is not, by the way, the everything. This is just to kind of create, it's an appetizer, so that you can go and dig in more. And Fumi has this in here, and I know she's always ready to talk, so you can reach out to her, and I know
Watch
she
out
will
for when
really
my
be.
sister starts a masterclass. It's not gonna be free like this again at that time. So watch
Yeah,
out.
I just wanted to add this as well, that when kids are in some specialized program, there are less behavioral challenges. Sometimes it's not your child. When kids are idle, when education is not their focus, they might disrupt more, and there might be more emotional, more bullying, more issues to deal with. Some schools, for example, in Cogito, everybody sits and face the teacher. You can't be writing notes and be throwing things and be, the way some kids that in some philosophy that it will encourage bullying, it will stress some student out more. So some choices we should also research and know what the philosophies are and how it helps the student to thrive. And also a child, when have a room full of kids, that the parents are intentional and they have high expectation for the kids, children will live up to it. When you're in the midst of kids that they don't care, they want to do the bare minimum, all this behavior they spread. And teenagers, when they get to teenage years, they listen to themselves more than they listen to parents. So, but if you know that what I'm telling my child is from similar background, the same set of friends she's going to have, they will have some level of goals. You still need to work on your child 100%, but it's not from you are saying 100, they are hearing zero. Maybe they might say 70, 80. What you have to do to catch up is a little less. So that would also help us in our parenting journey and avoid unnecessary emotional stress that comes with many of these idle things.
Thank you
Oh,
so much. And I think Stati, you can just wrap up. We are just 1 minute to the end of the event, and I will let you have the floor.
All right. This presentation is a partnership between Aspire Hub and the Marketplace Kings and Priests. We don't have that. We are both so Aspire Hub is funded by me, but the Marketplace Kings and Priests is funded by my brother, Dr. Winga Ibikule, who's going to have a lot of announcements for us in the next couple of months. There's a lot of awesome things that he's been doing, and I'm just so thankful for him and for his leadership and for all the great things that he is doing in the community. For me, is a sister and a friend. She's just amazing in many ways, and she has a lot of things cooking as well. So follow her if you're not yet. She has a business. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but if you follow her, you will see all the awesome things that she is into. Thank you everyone for making us Aspire Hub and MCAP part of your morning, afternoon now. Thank you for staying through for 90 minutes, 90 strong minutes. We did it. This is just the beginning. We have a lot more opportunities for us to continue to empower our community. Stay tuned and continue to follow us. If you are not already subscribed to this YouTube channel, please do it right now. Now. Go and subscribe to this YouTube channel, because there's a lot of more opportunities for development that we are putting out. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye. Have enjoyed the rest of your afternoon.
Bye.